Here you go.
He's a father tired from 30 years of waiting and legal battles.
It's hard to get up on my feet.
Since his daughter Marie-Angèle disappeared in July 1988. The shadow of serial killer Michel Fourniret had always hovered over the disappearance, but without any certainty. Until last week, when the man nicknamed the Ardennes Ogre finally confessed. Claude Domès, soon to be in his 90s, no longer expected this. Over the years, he had accepted the idea of not knowing what happened to his daughter, whose body was never found.
Anyway, I reacted out of weariness. I was tired. Tired, a bit disgusted. Then we said, we've got to give up.
Michel Fourniret has also just confessed to another murder. That of Johanna Parish, an English student who also lived in Auxerre in 1990. Marie-Angèle and Johanna would join the macabre list of victims of Michel Fourniret and his wife and accomplice, Monique Olivier. In 2008, the diabolical couple had already been sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of 7 young girls between 1987 and 2001. But the killer had always denied involvement in the disappearances of Marie-Angèle and Johanna. So how to explain this sudden confession 3 decades after the fact? A new twist that crowns the meticulous reopening of an investigation in which everything has been started from scratch. In 1988, Marie-Angèle was 19 years old. She suffers from a mild mental handicap and lives in this home in downtown Auxerre. She was placed there after her mother deserted the family home, abandoning her children. On the 8th of July, 1988, she was due to take the train, but she disappeared.
I got a phone call saying, is Marie-Angèle at home? And that was the home. The Leclerc-Le Foureau home? I said, she's not at my place. What's going on?
Her father had seen her a week earlier. A detail had bothered him then.
She usually came by train, but she didn't come by train. She told me she'd come by car with some guy. She wouldn't tell me who it was. I got the wrong impression.
Her older sister, Veronique, was 23 at the time. She had just had her first child. She didn't worry right away.
As far as I was concerned, she had run away, but to Auxerre. I thought she was with a boyfriend or girlfriend, that's what I mean.
A wanted poster was published in the press. Weeks went by, but no news of Marie-Angèle. The young woman was of age, so 6 months after her disappearance, the Auxerre court dismissed the case. A year and a half later, in the early hours of May 17th, 1990, the body of another young woman was spotted by a fisherman a few kilometers from Auxerre in the Yonne department at Moneteau. The naked victim had been beaten to death, then raped. The investigators identified Johanna Parish, an English student, then an assistant at a secondary school in Auxerre. Her parents, Roger and Pauline, who live in England, were informed the next day.
It was very brutal and violent, and obviously a huge shock. At a moment like that, your brain switches off, and you think, this can't be happening to me, they've got the wrong person. We knew nothing. The only thing we were told was that her body had been found in the water near where she worked.
To make ends meet, Johanna had placed a classified ad to give English lessons. The day before her body was found, she had left the high school where she worked. She was to meet a man in downtown Auxerre, whom he had contacted on behalf of his son at 7 p.m. No one would see her again. And for years, the investigation stalled. Maître Corinne Herman is the lawyer for Johanna's parents.
In the Yonne region, there are a lot of unsolved cases, especially in the 80s and 90s. Johanna Paris, the events took place in May 1990. At that time, the justice system in the Yonne was at a standstill, incompetent or dysfunctional. All these cases were on hold, abandoned by the courts and the investigators. The case was forgotten at the bottom of a drawer at the back of a cupboard, but it was an important case. It will remain abandoned for 10 years or so. There will be few verifications.
Joanna's parents decided to carry out their own investigations. They came regularly to Auxerre, distributed leaflets, and hoped to find some leads.
We were absolutely horrified to realize that the people of Auxerre had never seen a photo of Jo. The photo we put on the leaflets, they told us it was her. In Britain, I hate to compare, but if someone goes missing, the first thing the press or the police do is put out the photo of the victim to see if anyone knows this girl or has seen her.
Joanna's parents feel left out of an investigation that is making no progress. Until 2003, 13 years after their daughter's disappearance, 350 kilometers from Auxerre, Belgium arrests a man for a failed kidnapping attempt. His name is Michel Fourniret. The man remains silent. So the police questioned his wife, Monique Olivier, for a year, more than 300 times, until she broke down in 2004. Yves Charpenel was the public prosecutor in Reims at the time, heading up the French part of the investigation.
When she confessed, she didn't confess to one murder, she confessed to a dozen, some of which we'd never heard of. We didn't even know the person was dead.
The macabre list of an evil couple. From 1984 to 1987, Michel Fourniret serves his first prison sentence at Fleury-Mérogis for sexual assault and rape of minors. He met Monique Olivier through a classified ad. They correspond and seal a pact. At the end of his incarceration, she will help him in his obsessive quest to become a young virgin. 2 months after his release, Michel Fourniret moved in with Monique Olivier in this village near Auxerre. It was here that he committed his first murder. 6 months later, he killed Marie-Angèle again. The couple lived in this house, which overlooked the village square. It was here that Michel Fourniret apparently spotted Marie-Angèle, who sometimes came to visit her aunt and grandmother. Here's what Monique Olivier first said about him in her confession in 2004.
He had noticed a young girl in the village whom he had described as a beautiful little subject. He decided to kidnap her.
Michel Fourniret offered to drive her home. Marie-Angèle was put at ease by Monique Olivier's presence and agreed. He led her down an isolated road after having his wife get out of the car. Monique Olivier then asserted,
He told me that he hadn't managed to get what he wanted, having ejaculated too soon, and that he had then killed the girl by strangling her before putting her corpse in the boot of the car.
The next day, Michel Fourniret disposed of the body, saying it would never be found. As for Johanna Paris, Monique Olivier first recounts that she was driving the van and that she witnessed the murder. According to her, Michel Fourniret asked the young girl to undress, which she refused to do.
He then beat her until she could no longer speak. When she was unconscious, he raped her.
Michel Fourniret then threw the tied-up body of the young woman into the Yonne River. A precise and detailed confession. However, Monique Olivier made a U-turn a few days after these statements. Her lawyer, Maître Richard Dalgenès, tries to explain.
She will retract her statement before the examining magistrate in Charleville-Mézières because she will indicate that the Charleville-Mézières public prosecutor assaulted her during the hearings. During all the hearings, over 300 of them, there was never a single instance of violence, never a single claim by Monique Olivier. But during these hearings, she was allegedly assaulted. During the hearing, Monique Olivier said that the public prosecutor had shaken her. She wasn't beaten up, but what she does say is that she was elbowed, slapped on the back of the head. In other words, things that don't normally happen in Europe in police stations when someone is being questioned. It's called violence.
Monique Olivier retracted her statement, and Michel Fourniret continues to deny it.
How many crimes do you admit to?
The investigation will remain at a standstill. In 2011, in the absence of evidence, the magistrates dismissed the case. Unacceptable, according to Johanna's parents' lawyer.
At some point, the justice system says we're not going to find anything, so we have to get rid of this case. I can't put it any other way. I couldn't explain it because I couldn't accept it in a case where it's obvious that there's been a murder. There's no suspicion of suicide or accident. It's murder. I can't understand why justice should abandon these victims.
From their small village in England, Johanna's parents are appealing the decision and criticizing the way the investigation has been conducted so far.
You can't close an unsolved investigation. They can't do that. They can't stop the investigation until they find the murderer. Otherwise, the man is still out there. He can murder other people.
We also realized that the DNA found at the crime scene had been damaged and could not be used, and yet it was the main piece of material evidence that could have been used against Fourniret or anyone else. It was a disaster, a terrible mistake.
In 2012, the investigation was reopened. With a new judge and new investigators, the killer's entire career was taken back to the beginning. Last week, the judge questioned Michel Fourniret about the murders of Johanna and Marie-Angèle. The investigation had gathered enough evidence for them to feel cornered. The serial killer is reported to have said that these two girls had the misfortune to cross his path. Michel Fourniret's lawyer declined to comment.
The case is solid and clear. The examining magistrate was able to re-interrogate Michel Fourniret with more solid, more verified elements, not allowing her to cast doubt on certain elements. It's harder to say no every time you're presented with an argument, and that's what the judge did. He's always said that if you ask him the right questions, he'll give you the answers.
After 30 years of denial, Johanna's parents remained cautious. Especially as the psychology of the Ardennes ogre is reputed to be complex and manipulative.
When I first heard about it, I was very cautious. Very careful. Because, of course, with the retraction of Monique Olivier's confession, I wondered why Michel Fourniret was confessing now. After all, he's a perverse manipulator, an emotionless psychopath. Was he playing one of his games? We don't know. If it's true, it would mean that we've come to the end of what we've set out to do for Joe over the past 28 years, and that we can do no more if he is found guilty.
Marie-Angèle's father is hoping for one thing from this new development: to finally find the body of his child.
So we're going to wage war on him. That's what we'll do. We're going to ask him for details. Where? When? In whose company? What he did with it? And that's what I want to know.
You want to know where your daughter is?
Yes. Wherever she is, I want to know. Whatever state she's in. And that's the way it is. So this has already become an obsession. And it won't leave me. But since I'm old, I don't know if I'll see the end. I just don't know. That bothers me.
Michel Fourniret. should be heard again in the coming weeks. He has said he is ready to cooperate. And the serial killer's confession raises another issue. Will he reveal any responsibility in other unsolved cases? Like the disappearance of Estelle Mouzin. Several female DNA samples taken from her van have yet to be processed. Now aged 75, the Ardennes ogre may not yet have revealed all his sinister truth.